Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome back to yet another episode on your favorite Little Star YouTube channel. So today in this video, yes, what you're seeing is what we're going to discuss about JIRA. Why JIRA? So we should understand why we have to use JIRA before we even use it. So the first thing is JIRA is a bug tracking tool that allows the software developers us to plan, to track, and to work faster. And Jira is the primary source of information for future software releases, and developers can easily plan the new features to be added and the bugs to be fixed. So, for example, we can create features, we can create epics under it, and each under each epic we can create stories, and under each stories we can add our tasks. Like we can divide and we can add our tasks into it, and then we can add story points. So there are like much more to discuss about what is Jira and how to work on Jira. So uh, today is the day one for Jira, and we are going to discuss about every single aspect of it. And on top of it, we are going to make wonders using it because we are going to do integrations. We are going to do automations. We're going to, when I say integrations, we're going to integrate it with Cucumber. We have options to integrate this with PowerShell. We have options to integrate this with GitHub. I mean Jira with GitHub, GitLab, whatnot. I mean, like even tools like performance testing tools like JMeter, Gatling, K6, and even Neoload. So you're going to really get lots and lots of information out of it. So please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and keep click your what is that button? The bell button, yeah, to get notifications of my new videos. So do that, please do that, and as you all know that I create videos on daily basis for you to enrich your knowledge. So please do subscribe and please do consider joining my channel for you to motivate me. And yep, let's don't delay and let's go to the video. So first step of this video is before we even create any action or anything, any feature or any bug or any epic, we should create a project, right? So the first thing is I'm going to create a project. So let me go to the projects, and now we'll create a new project for us. So let me go back to the home, click on Jira, and now we'll create our first project. So we have several project templates. We have software development, we have service management, we have work management, where we can do the project management and task tracking, new employee onboarding. So they all come into like lots and lots of actions which we can do via Jira. We can do product discovery, product roadmap, idea prioritization, but let's don't go much into it. What we're going to do is go to software development, and we are going to use Scrum. So I've chosen Scrum, and let me use this template, and now we'll select the team managed because we are going to work on team basis. So I'm going to select the team managed, and now the name of this is going to be Little's Law and Access. For now, I'm going to keep it as open. Actually, we have three different options. So just to give you a quick review, so we have private, where only admins and people I add to the project can search, they can view, they can create, or they can edit its uses. And in fact, if you're really interested, uh, send me a request and I will add you to my Jira and you can start working on it. And the next thing is like limited. So anyone with access to the to this particular Jira project can search, or they can view and they can comment on the project's issue. And then I have the open, where anyone with access to my Jira story can search, can view, can create and edit. For now, I'm going to choose private, and the key is LIT. So this is actually a prefix. So for example, like when I choose Littlesla, automatically Jira will give a prefix for it. So let me change it to Littlesla LL. That's the logo of us of our channel, right? So now I'm going to, so we have chosen Scrum as a template because we're going to use sprint goals. We are going to add the features to the backlog. We're going to add the epics, the stories, everything to the backlog. So I'll also tell you what is a backlog is. And then we're going to work on team based. So I've chosen team managed, and then click on next. And this will take us to the Jira board. So we have successfully created our project, and now under the project, so we have our little project, and the first of it is we have our board, and we have uh, three different status. So one is to do, in progress, and done. So the next thing is like we have to create, or like let me tell you this way. Okay, coming back to these menu options, so I have filters where I can use the filters and I can filter the project, and then I have the dashboards where I can create dashboard, I can view all dashboards. So when I click on create dashboard, I can create new dashboards which is visible to the team members, or to the people who are in the team, or to anybody who's outside or to the team. So I can create several dashboards and they can view um, the stories, the features, and everything. So for now, let's go into creating the issues. But for now, let me give you introductions, and then I have teams. Like I told you, if you're really interested, please do message me in our WhatsApp channel, and I'll add you to this Jira, so you'll get an idea on, like, okay, most of you would want to would tell me that, okay, I want to do some real time thing. Yep, I always welcome you. Give me your email ID and I will invite you to the Jira, and then we can work on the Jira board, and that will help you to learn more about um, the Jira and all the stuffs in it. And then, yeah, here I can invite people, and then I can create a team. Yep, we can create team as well. I can create several teams where people who wants to work on Neoload, people who wants to work on JMeter, people who wants to work on Cucumber. So we can all work and integrate, and we can do things here. And then I have plans. So for now, I'm not going to do anything with this plan part. And then the apps, so where I can use the external apps, some third-party apps, which I can use it along with Jira. And most of the times they were some of the tools are like paid, and some of them are free. So, but we have options to do it. So we can actually explore more apps. We can manage. We can view app requests as well. So, coming back to this part where we have the timeline. So, this timeline part will tell you where we are in this sprint. For example, if I want to create a product, right? I want to create a product and I want to um, uh, publish it, or I want to launch it in Jan 25. So, what is the status from today? Like, at what status am I? And am I in planning, or am I in development, or am I in testing, or what type of testing? So all these things you can view it as in the timeline. But previously, the project managers used to handle this in Excel sheets. But for now, like, these tools actually give you the option to do this timelining part. So for now, let me create something like sprint one. And once I create the sprint one, the very first sprint, and then it'll ask me to create an epic. But for that, I'm going to use the create button, which is on the top, and then I'm going to choose the epic. So when I click on epic, automatically the status changes to do, because that's the very first state. So before you even pick any story, or if you even pick any epic, it always is, it's this to do state. And then I'm going to give some example. For example, like this is going to be uh, an example of Cucumber test. Like, first we're going to create some manual test. I mean, like, we're going to see how to integrate uh, Jira X-ray with Cucumber, right? So I'm going to write as Jira minus X-ray integration with Cucumber. So this is going to be my first epic, and for that I'm going to do multiple tasks. And here you have to give the description, like what you expect and what you're going to do. So for example, I'm going to I'm going to give the description as create a Jira X-ray test and integrate with Cucumber. And then assignee, for now, like any time when we create an epic, we normally don't assign it to anybody. So once during the scrum or during the sprint planning, we used to select it. But in the initial stages, or when we create an epic, we don't do. So I'm not going to assign it to anyone. And then coming to the labels, we haven't created any labels. Actually, we have to create some labels for it. And then, like I told you, please do let me know if you're interested. We can create a team, and then we can start working on it. And then the start date and end date, I'm not going to give anything for now. And the reporter, yeah, it's fine, it's me. and then the linked issues, if there are any linked issues which is blocking you, or it's blocked by any of the other issues, or if you want to clone this epic, or if it has been cloned by any other epic, or if it's a duplication, or if it is duplicated by some other epics, they will be selected here, and you can select it here. And for now, I'm going to, the first step of it is I'm going to create an epic. Okay, I've created an epic. And if you can see, like under the sprint one, we have got our first epic, and then under the epic we can create stories. When I click on epic, you can see here we have got the epic, the link, goals, and everything. So you can see the assignee, whom to whom it's assigned, the labels and everything. And as part of the first epic, we're going to create a story. So for that, I'm going back and click create, and then the issue type is going to be a story. So when I click on story, automatically it gives me this option. So the first part of is what it's going to be the first step, or like what is your first story. So the first story is explore um, JIRA, or we'll do like create test case using JIRA, etc. That's going to be your first step, right? And the descriptions are going to be similar to it. So create your first. So this can be like more. This has to be like more formal if you are doing it in your organization. But for now, I'm just going to create an example. So this is how I work. So create your first test case in JIRA X-ray. And then, as I told you, I'm not going to assign it to anyone, and there are no labels yet in the select parent. So this one, the epic, is going to be my parent. So the epics or the stories actually should be the child of any epic, or the epic should have multiple child, and they have to be the stories. So I've chosen this as my parent, and then no teams. I have to complete this in the first sprint. So I've chosen first sprint, sprint one. And then how many story points do I need to give? Like when I say story point, what does a story point tell you? So it is actually a measurement of complexity, and it actually comes in multiple numbers. Like for example, it will be in 1, 3, 5, 8, 13. So what is this 1, 3, 5, 8, 13? So when I say one, when I say one, it can be completed in half day, like less than 3 to 4 hours. And if it is in three, it has to be completed in 1 day, which is 8 hours. And if it is five, it has to be completed in 2.5 days. And if it is eight, it has to be completed in 5 days. And if it is 13, it has to be like, sorry, if it is in 13, then it has to be completed in 10 days. So that's how it tells the maximum the complexity. So when you are in a team, and if your team, the scrum master asks you like what is the complexity, so you have to give your opinion, like, or you have to or you have to measure the complexity, and you have to tell them like how much do you rate for that particular story. And that's how it works. So for now, for this story, I'm going to give as 5, because I believe it would take 2 days for me to complete. And then the reporter, yes, it's me. And if you have any attachment, you can add it to it. And linked issues, I'm not going. There's nothing blocking, or I don't have anything restricting to it. So I'm going to click create, and this will create my first story. So when I click on this story, and I click on this story on the top, so this will take me to the story. And now let me tell you. Um, yep, I have my pin fields. Everything is done. So in case if you want to add any tasks to it, you can add it, like the subtasks. So what do you need to do? You can separate all your actions to several tasks. So that'll be more like, it'll give you an idea like how to do it or how to approach it. And for now, let me just ignore this and clicking on this board. And if you see, if I click on go to backlog, it will take me to the backlog, because we are still having these stories in the backlog. And if you see, we are still having this in the backlog. And when I click on the epic, the first epic, and let me tell you one more thing. So still we are still in our backlog. We haven't done it. So the first step before you even enter into your scrum, you have to create all your epics, you have to create all your stories and everything. So still we haven't created. So the next step of it is I'm going to create another um, story under this epic. Let me click on this, the story. It will take me to the story part, and then yeah, if I click on the particular epic, yes, so this will take me to the epic, and now we'll create another story. And for that, I'm clicking on the add a child issue, and I'm changing this to story. So initially we have created the first story under the epic. It is creating test case using JIRA, and then yep. So as part of it, the next story is we have to configure the JIRA X-ray plugin, and that's going to be our next step because we have only the JIRA, but we haven't yet added or we haven't yet created our X-ray plugin. So I've added this as my second story, and let me click on create, and then the third story is going to be setting up Cucumber feature files and step definition. So let me just yep, click on true. Okay, and let me open this story and let me add the description. So for that, once you open your story and then when you click on the description part, it will take you there. So as a developer, I want to configure the Jira X-ray plugin so that test cases can be managed effectively. And after this description, there is one more thing, which is you have to add your acceptance criteria. So at which point do you think that okay, this story is completed and I can close it? So for that, you have to add this point, which is X-ray is correctly installed. That's very important, right? So we have to make sure that the X-ray is installed and integrated with the Jira project, and you have to confirm it. And the second step is you have to ensure the X-ray issue types. For example, you have to create a test, you have to create a test plan, you have to create test execution. So all these things has to be available in your X-ray Jira. And let me click on save and go back to the epic. Under the epic, we have our third story, which is setting up, sorry, the third story, yeah. That is going to be setting up the Cucumber feature file. And here, I'm going to add a description. So what is the description is, as a developer, I want to set up Cucumber feature files and step definitions to define my test scenario. So this is going to be your third story, and the acceptance criteria. That's very important because that will tell you that whether you have completed it properly or not. And it's going to be your feature files for scenarios has to be completed, right? So that has to be created in a defined structure. That's very important because when we create our Cucumber feature files, it has to be in a proper structure. And then the step definitions has to be linked. So it has to be linked to the feature files. And then you have to use gherkin. So that's another important thing. So when we use BDD, the Cucumber part, the gherkin is where the gherkin syntax is where we use for all our feature files. So in feature files for clarity. And then we have few more stories, which I will add it now. And then I have the next story. Let me go back to my epic. And then the next, let me first add my stories and then offline I will add the descriptions to it. And so add a child issue, and that's going to be a story. And that story is mapping Cucumber scenarios to X-ray test cases. Create. And then the next story is going to be execute Cucumber tests from X-ray. So once you complete or once you map your scenarios, you have to execute a test to make sure you want to execute your Cucumber test via X-ray and record the results in JIRA for test reporting. And then you have another story which is automating test execution using CI/CD pipeline, and that's how you have to integrate your automated Cucumber test execution with your CI/CD pipeline. So we can use Jenkins, we can use Bamboo, so that the test runs automatically on any code changes. And then you have to generate test reports in X-ray, because when you do this, you can track the testing progress and you can track the results. So click create. Then we have another story that's linking defects to test cases. So when you do this, you can link your defects during the test execution to corresponding test cases in X-ray to ensure the traceability from test to defect. And yes, that's created. And then we have managing test plans and test cycles in X-ray. So when you do this, you want to create and manage test plans and test cycles to group and organize test cases. Click create. And then the last one, which is maintaining and updating test cases with Cucumber changes. So by doing this, you want to ensure that any updates to Cucumber feature files are reflected in JIRA X-ray test cases to maintain the sync between the two. And let me click on create, and we haven't yet given um, the complexity. So for now, configuring the X-ray JIRA X-ray plugin will take 1 day for me. So I'm giving 3 for it. Setting up Cucumber feature, I believe would take 5. And mapping Cucumber scenarios to X-ray test cases. Mapping Cucumber scenarios to X-ray test cases, I would take 5. And then execute Cucumber test. Executing is quite simple, so I will just take 1 for it because it's just execution. And then automating test cases, I believe I would need 8 for it. And then generating test reports in X-ray would take 3 story points. Linking defects to test cases would take 3 story points, and then managing test plans and test cycles in X-ray would take 5 story points for me. And finally, maintaining and updating the test cases with Cucumber changes would take another 5 story points. So now you can see what is the total complexity for this. And also you can see 0% done. So we haven't done anything yet. That's the reason you can see there is nothing completed or nothing is done. And to start the sprint, so you have to go to your backlog, and here you can see everything is in to do state. So there are like 3 different stages like to do, and we have when you are working on it, it will change to in progress. And once you have completed it, and yeah, before in progress, I mean after in progress and before done, there is a step called review, request review, where you have to send it to your peer and ask him to review your work, like what you have done so far. And once he is happy with that, and once he finds the results are fine, then he will move it to done, or he will move it done, and then finally it will be closed by the scrum master. So for now, everything is into do state, and let's click start sprint. So this will actually start the sprint, and yep, like you see here, we can have our sprints in several durations. We can have it in 1 week, we can have it in 2 weeks, we can have it in 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. So when I say 2 weeks, it'll be like 10 days, 10 working days, and when it's in 1 week, it's like 5 working days. Same way, like 1 week is 5 working days, so according to it, it will change. Usually, the organization will take 2 weeks, like 2 weeks of time for every sprint. So let's even choose that same, and then the sprint goal. So what is the sprint goal? So our sprint goal is to create, or it has to be like configuring JIRA X-ray plugin and setting up Cucumber and executing Cucumber scenarios, generate generate test reports, and maintain, right? So we have to do all these in the sprint. So let's see how far it goes, and in case if it has to be increased, we can do that later. For now, let's start the sprint. So from now on, and here you can see we every state or every epic is in the to do state, and it has to move to the in progress state once we are moving it in progress. And for now, let me just choose it, for example. So let me just click on this. Yep, let me click a board. Okay, I think it's not yet picked up. Okay, so let me change it to stories for now. Yep, just a sec. So what I'll do is let me open the Epic. and open one of these stories in here. Let me click the parent. Yep, and here I have, and I'm going to, for now, I'm going to just assign it to me. So I'm clicking on assign it to me, and then I'm choosing the first one, which is creating test case using X-ray. And once you start working on it, you have to change the status of it. And for that, click on this, create test case using X-ray. Um, Let me just change it to the next status, which is like to in progress. So click on it. Oh, sorry. So we are okay. Yeah, it's here. So change it to in progress. So now it will be saved to in progress. So creating our first test case in it. Actually, the first one, yeah, creating our first Jira X-ray test case is our first one. But even before this, we have to configure our X-ray plugin. So for now, I'm putting it back to do. Let me, yeah, putting it back to do, and then going back to my Epic, and let me choose the X-ray plugin. And this is what we're going to do as our first step. So changing it to in progress. And yeah, this is what we're going to do. So let me go back to the board and let me refresh it. Uh, yep, yep. And the reason we could not see these stories in the Scrum board is we haven't added it to the sprint. So let me add these in the sprint. For example, like let me go to the LL3 and then click on, okay, it has to be in the sprint. So when you see here, I'm just adding it to the sprint. And let me go to the next one, adding it to the sprint, going back to the other stories and changing it to the sprint. And now if I come back to my board and when I click refresh, yep. So now you can see all the stories, like whatever stories I have moved into the sprint, it will be selected. And now, yep, the first step, configuring X-ray, Jira X-ray plugin is going to be your first task. And we are going to do that. We're going to see how to do that in the next video. So I believe you would have understand what is Jira, why do we use it, and how do we use the backlog, how do we use the boards, how do we create the epics stories, and what exactly is an epic, and how to create an epic, and what are all uh, the attributes we have to add. And yes, with that I come to an end of this video. And tomorrow, as I have told you, we'll see how to configure the X-ray Jira X-ray plugin in Jira. Until then, I'll take a short break. And until we meet in our next video, it's bye bye from Vasan Shanmugam and your favorite Little Star YouTube channel. Take care and bye bye.